My sister uninvited me from mom's 60th birthday, so I canceled the $17,500 venue, the caterer, and the party bus she bragged about. Can you imagine pouring your heart and soul, and your wallet, into planning your mom's dream 60th birthday party, only to get a text from your own sister saying, "You're uninvited. Your kids are too loud." With a laughing emoji? Oh, she had no idea what was coming next. Because when she sent that text, she didn't know I was the one who had booked the stunning $17,500 riverfront venue. She didn't know I'd already paid the caterer, the DJ, and the rentals. And she definitely didn't know that the fancy party bus she was posting about on Instagram? Yeah, I owned it. And at 4:32 p.m. the day before the party, when my phone rang with a frantic call from her husband, I knew the whole house of cards was about to come crashing down. That call came from my brother-in-law, Mark. I was standing at my kitchen counter, just rinsing a juice cup my youngest had abandoned mid-sip, when his name popped up. I knew, before I even answered, that someone had finally looked under the hood. "Jordan," he said, breathless, "the venue says there's no reservation. They're acting like we never booked." I kept my voice perfectly even. "That's strange," I replied. "It's not strange," he snapped, then lowered his voice like someone was listening. "Tessa is melting down. The coordinator said it was cancelled at 4:30. Did you?" I just stared at the little soap bubbles swirling down the drain. "Mark," I said, "no problem." That was my exact reply. The same 2 words I'd sent to Tessa when she told me my kids were too loud for the party. There was a beat of silence on the other end, like he was mentally rewinding a conversation he'd only half heard. "She didn't mean it like that," he finally mumbled. I slowly dried my hands, picked up a literal folder from the table, yes, a folder, and said, "I meant my reply exactly how I sent it." You see, just a couple of hours earlier, at 3:12 p.m., my sister Tessa had texted me. "You're uninvited from mom's 60th. Your kids are too loud." Followed by that smug laughing face emoji. I typed back, "No problem. Come." 2 words. And then I'd made a series of very boring, very official phone calls. Tessa had been counting on me to stay boring in a different way. I'm 38, a project controller for a regional construction company. My whole job is making sure numbers match the truth. I run budgets, track invoices, argue politely with vendors, and file paperwork so other people can pretend chaos isn't happening behind the scenes. I'm also a mom of 2, 6, and 9, and a person who loves birthdays. I love candles and silly hats and watching my mom laugh until she snorts. What I am not is a person who likes being treated like background noise. Tessa, she's always been louder than me. Not in a fun, extroverted way, but in a "the room belongs to me" kind of way. She's 35, a part-time boutique manager who treats every single event like it's her personal stage. When she announced mom's 60th on social media, she wrote it like she was the producer, director, and star. She'd already posted about the party bus with a glossy photo and the caption, "We're going all out for Queenie Lane," as if it had magically materialized because she willed it into existence. The truth? Well, the truth was a lot less magical. The truth was I owned a party bus. Not some wild empire of champagne and neon lights like people imagine. My husband and I bought one used coach 5 years ago from a small fleet liquidation. We rebuilt it in our garage with my uncle, who does upholstery. It's a side business that pays for soccer fees and summer camps. It requires licenses, insurance, and a level of sobriety that never, ever shows up in Instagram reels. When mom turned 59, she'd cried at dinner because she felt like just a grandma. Tessa was the one who said, "Next year, we'll do something big." And I was the one who said, "Okay, let's do it right." It started simple enough. Tessa wanted a fancy venue on the river. She'd send me links at 1 a.m. like I was her personal assistant. "This one? This one?" "OMG," she'd text, then call the next morning and say, "You're better at details. Can you just handle the booking?" I did what I always did. I asked questions. "How many guests?" 80-ish, she'd say. "What's the budget?" "We'll figure it out." "Who's paying?" We're all pitching in. So, I built a spreadsheet. The kind with tabs for venue, catering, rentals, decor, entertainment, transportation. I put my name at the top and wrote proposed split, Jordan 40%, Tessa 40%, Mark 20%. I was already giving her a break because I knew Mark's student loans were still biting them every month. Tessa replied with a thumbs up. Mark replied, sounds fair. Then the invoices started coming in. And quietly, so did the pattern. Flashback number 1, the deposit shuffle. In early March, the venue needed a deposit within 48 hours to hold the date. The rental fee was $17,500, and the deposit was $5,250, due immediately. Tessa said, can you put it on your card? Mine's maxed this month. I'll Venmo you. I put it on my business card. Because venue's like a single point of contact. Because it earned points. And because my stomach did that familiar dip when someone said, I'll Venmo you, like it was an automatic system. She Venmo'd me $600 with the note for Mom. Like confetti would make the rest magically appear. Mark sent $1,000 2 weeks later. Nothing from Tessa after that. When I asked, she just said, relax. You're so intense. We have time. Flashback number 2, the guest count creep. In April, the caterer emailed to confirm headcount. We'd originally priced for 80 guests, $78 per adult for buffet style, 2 proteins and sides, plus $650 for staff and a $900 service fee. Tessa forwarded me the email and wrote, tell them 95. Mom has more friends than you think. I wrote back, if it's 95, that's an extra $1,170 plus tax and gratuity. Who's covering that? She replied, OMG, it's Moem. Stop nickel and diming. So, I paid the revised deposit, $2,400 to the caterer, plus another $420 for the linen upgrades she insisted were non-negotiable. Later, at a Sunday dinner, I heard her tell my aunt, I'm basically planning the whole thing alone. She said it with a little martyr laugh, and my mom squeezed her hand like she was so brave. I didn't correct her. I don't know why. Maybe because I thought the party would be worth it. Maybe because I didn't want to make Mom's birthday about who paid for what. Or maybe, just maybe, because I'd been trained my whole life that Tessa's feelings were a weather system everyone else had to plan around. Flashback number 3, the transportation story. In May, Tessa asked if she could use my party bus as her gift to Mom. Not rent it, use it. I said yes, but with conditions: no alcohol on board unless we added a rider and security deposit, driver schedule confirmed 14 days in advance, route logged, passengers capped at 24. She said, of course. Then she posted online, surprising Mom with a party bus, and tagged a dozen friends. My phone started buzzing with messages. Wait, you have a party bus? How much do you charge? Tessa is so thoughtful. I told myself it didn't matter who got credit. I told myself again that the end goal was Mom smiling in a silly tiara with her friends. But it kept happening. It was always like that with Tessa. She'd decide an outcome, promise it out loud, then scramble behind the curtain, expecting me to just hand her the props. It wasn't just the birthday either. Over the last 3 years, she'd asked me to spot her portion of Mom's expenses more times than I could count. I covered Mom's new hearing aids when the insurance estimate came back short by $1,980. I paid the annual condo HOA special assessment for Mom, $2,750, because Tessa couldn't do it all right then. I handled Mom's cell phone bill, $162 a month, on my autopay, because Tessa forgets. Each time, Tessa said she'd make it up later. Each time, later turned into a joke. You're the responsible one, she'd say, like responsibility was some weird hobby I'd chosen because I enjoyed it. The worst example was last Thanksgiving. Mom mentioned she wanted a small weekend trip for her birthday. Tessa loudly announced, I'll take care of it. Then she cornered me by the fridge and whispered, can you book it? I'm on a spending freeze because of my credit card. I booked 2 hotel rooms for 2 nights. $1,146. On my card, of course. Tessa told everyone she'd spoiled Mom. When the charge hit, she sent me $100 with a note, "Thanks, bestie. We are not besties. We are siblings." By June, my spreadsheet had changed colors. Yellow for promised. Red for overdue. Green for paid. There was a lot of red. I had paid the $5,250 venue deposit, $2,400 catering deposit, $1,320 rentals deposit for tables, chairs, bar setup, $680 for a small stage because Tessa wanted a moment, $420 linen upgrade, $295 for printed invitations because she hated my cheap digital vibe, $310 for the DJ's booking fee, $180 extra insurance rider for the bus because she insisted on champagne vibes, $150 for a custom cake tasting she scheduled and then didn't attend. I had received back, combined, $1,600. And still, I kept moving forward. Because backing out meant being dramatic. And being dramatic meant being blamed for ruining Mom's birthday. Then came the text. It was a Tuesday afternoon. My kids were doing homework at the dining table. The house was loud in the normal way a house is loud when people live in it. Tessa had been sending me photos of gold balloons and writing, "This is going to be insane." She called me twice, and I didn't answer because I was in a meeting. At 3:12 p.m., it popped up, "You're uninvited from Mom's 60th. Your kids are too loud." Laughing face. Like it was cute. I stared at my phone long enough that my 9-year-old asked, "Mom, are you okay?" I typed, "No problem." I didn't add a question mark. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I didn't say, "Do you hear yourself?" I didn't say, "You don't get to uninvite my children from their grandmother's birthday like they're a nuisance." I set my phone down, opened my laptop, and pulled up the contracts. The venue agreement? In my name. The caterer agreement? In my name. The rental contract? In my name. The bus insurance rider? In my name. Every email thread had my signature at the bottom. Tessa had been the face. I had been the spine. And spines can stop holding things up. The real breaking point wasn't just her insult. Not exactly. It was what came 10 minutes after. At 3:22 p.m., I received an email from the venue coordinator with the subject line "Updated payment method." I hadn't requested an update. I clicked. It included an attachment, a change of authorization form. My name was typed incorrectly. My address was wrong. And the signature? It looked like someone trying to copy cursive from a photo. It listed a new payment method, Mark's debit card. And it requested that all future correspondence be sent to a different email address, Tess. My stomach went cold. Not from hurt feelings. This stopped being family drama. This became financial risk. I called the venue immediately. The coordinator, Jenna, answered. "Oh, hi Jordan. We got your authorization change." "You did?" I asked, keeping my voice polite. "Can you tell me who sent it?" "It came from an email we've been corresponding with," she said. "And it had a signature." "That signature isn't mine," I said. "Please don't process anything. I'm the signer on the contract." There was a pause. "Okay," Jenna said slowly. "Let me put a note on the file. Can you forward me the header information on the email?" I asked. "I can forward you the email," she said, hesitant. "That's fine," I said. "Forward it. And please note, no changes without verbal confirmation from me." When she forwarded it, I saw the truth in the little details. The email address it came from wasn't mine. It was a new Gmail that looked like my name with extra numbers. Someone had made it to impersonate me. I stared at it, then opened my folder on the desktop labeled Mom's 60th. Inside were receipts, contracts, and screenshots I'd been too tired to organize. That day, I organized them. I created a timeline in a document, March 3rd, venue contract signed by me. Deposit $5,250 paid by my card. April 9th, catering headcount increased from 80 to 95 at Tessa's request. Additional cost $1,170. Deposit $2,400 paid by me. May 18th, party bus rider added. Insurance rider $180. June 2nd, rental equipment confirmed. Deposit $1,320 paid by me. June 10th, DJ booked. Booking fee $310 paid by me. July 14th, venue receives fraudulent change of authorization form. Then I started adding supporting files. PDFs of signed contracts. Screenshots of the updated payment method email. Bank statements showing deposits and payments. Screenshots of Tessa's texts, put it on your card, we'll pay you back, relax. It's a MOM. I didn't do it like a revenge board. I did it like I was preparing a claim. Because, in a way, I was. The minute someone tried to forge my signature, this stopped being family drama. This became financial risk. At 4:05 p.m., I called my bank's business line and asked them to flag my account for potential attempted fraud. I changed my card number. I froze any vendor-initiated manual entry transactions over $1,000. It took 12 minutes, and the representative was calm and kind. At 4:22 p.m., I emailed Jenna at the venue, please confirm in writing that no authorization changes will be processed without a phone call to my verified number. She replied at 4:28 p.m., confirmed. At 4:32 p.m., I called the venue and canceled. Not the entire event yet. I asked about the policy. Jenna explained, cancel within 24 hours of the final payment deadline, and you forfeit the deposit, but are not responsible for the remaining balance. The remaining balance was $12,250, due that same day at 5 p.m. Then I'm canceling, I said. She asked, are you sure? Yes, I said. Please email the cancellation confirmation. Then I called the caterer. Their policy was similar. Deposits non-refundable within 30 days, but the remaining balance, $1,510, wasn't due until 3 business days prior. I canceled the service and asked them to confirm no charges would be run. They agreed and sent an email receipt showing a zero balance due upon cancellation. Then I called the rental company and canceled, forfeiting $200 of the $1,320 deposit. I called the DJ and canceled, losing the $310 fee. I called the balloon vendor and canceled the $480 installation, which still had a full refund window because it was scheduled for the morning of the party. And then I emailed my insurance agent about my party bus rider and removed the event add-on effective immediately. I didn't do any of it with glee. I did it with the same feeling I get when I shut down a job site budget line because someone's been submitting duplicate invoices. Regret for the wasted effort. Relief that the leak would stop. A quiet anger that had nowhere to go except into action. At 5:06 p.m., my phone started ringing. Mom's number, then Mark, then Tessa, then Mom again. I didn't answer. I sent one message to Tessa, because I needed a record, per your message today, I won't be attending. Also, I need you to stop attempting to change vendor authorizations under my name. Do not contact vendors using my information. She replied immediately, what are you talking about? Then, that's not fair. Then, Mom is crying. I took a screenshot, saved it to the folder, and set my phone face down. That night, Mom texted, honey, can we talk? Your sister says there was a misunderstanding. I wrote back, I can talk tomorrow. I'm not discussing it while emotions are high. At 8:11 p.m., Mark texted, we have people flying in. You can't do this. At 8:14 p.m., Tessa texted, if you ruin Mom's birthday, I will never forgive you. I didn't reply. The next morning, I called an attorney. Not because I wanted to sue my sister, but because I needed to protect myself from whatever story she was about to tell. The lawyer asked 2 questions. Are the contracts in your name, and do you have documentation of the forgery attempt? Yes, I said, and yes. He told me to send a short written notice to both Mark and Tessa, stating that I was not authorizing any further spending, that any attempt to use my name or accounts would be treated as fraud, and that all communication should be in writing. He drafted it on letterhead. It cost me $450 for the consult on the letter, and it was the cheapest peace of mind I'd bought in months. By noon, they had it. And by 12:07 p.m., my mother called again. I answered that one, because I loved my mom, even when she didn't see what was happening right in front of her. "Jordan," she said, her voice shaky. "What is going on? They said you canceled everything. They said you're mad about the kids." "I'm not mad about the kids," I said, sitting on the edge of my couch. "I'm concerned that someone tried to change vendor authorizations by pretending to be me. And I'm not comfortable being responsible for contracts for an event I'm not allowed to attend." Mom inhaled sharply. Tessa said my kids are too loud, I said gently. And then a fake authorization form showed up with my name. Silence. "Did you pay for it?" Mom asked, like she didn't want the answer. "I paid deposits," I said. "A lot of them." Mom's voice went small. "I didn't know." "I know," I said. "That's part of the problem." There was a pause. Then Mom said, "It was supposed to be for me." "It still can be," I said. "Just not like this." That afternoon, the family meeting demands began. Mark sent, "We should all sit down tonight. This is ridiculous." Tessa sent, "Come to Mom's at 6 o'clock. We need to talk like adults." My aunt texted, "Your mother is heartbroken. Whatever this is, stop." My cousin texted, "Is it true you canceled her birthday?" I replied to none of them directly. I forwarded everything to my lawyer's email, like he'd instructed, and he responded to Mark with a single paragraph: "My client has canceled all contracts under her name effective July 14th. Do not contact vendors under her identity. Further communication must be in writing." It was not dramatic. It was not emotional. It was a boundary written in ink. The day of Mom's birthday, the party they'd planned didn't happen. Not at that river venue with the expensive view and the Instagram wall. Tessa pivoted to a backyard gathering at Mom's condo complex common area. Someone brought store-bought cupcakes. Someone brought folding chairs. I heard later that Tessa spent the afternoon snapping at everyone because nothing was how it was supposed to be. I did not show up. Instead, I took my kids to a quiet breakfast place, and we made a card for Grandma. Then, in the late afternoon, I drove to Mom's condo alone with a small cake from her favorite bakery. $38. Vanilla with strawberries, the kind she actually liked. Mom opened the door with swollen eyes. "I didn't invite them," she whispered immediately, as if she'd been accused. "I know," I said. "Happy birthday." She hugged me hard, and I felt her shoulders shake. "In her kitchen," she said, "your sister said you wanted credit. She said you were trying to make her look bad." "I didn't want credit," I said, setting the cake on the counter. "I wanted respect, and I wanted my name not forged." Mom flinched at that. I asked her, Mom said quietly. "She said she didn't do it." I nodded. "Then someone did it for her." Mom wiped her eyes and stared at the little box with the cake. "I just wanted everyone together." "I know," I said. "But together doesn't mean I'm the one holding the bill while being told my kids don't belong." Mom didn't argue. She looked tired in a way I hadn't seen before, like a curtain had finally lifted, just enough to show her the machinery behind her big surprise. The next 10 business days were pure administrative fallout. The venue emailed me a cancellation confirmation and the forfeited deposit amount, $5,250 retained, $0 balance due. The caterer emailed, deposit retained, $0 further charges. The rental company refunded $1,120 within 7 days. The balloon vendor refunded $480 within 3 days. The insurance rider removal generated a $96 credit. I logged every one of those emails in my folder. I reconciled my credit card. I marked the losses in red. Then I sent Mark and Tessa an invoice. Not emotional. Not petty. A simple statement of amounts they'd agreed to cover, with dates, and what they had actually paid. Total owed to me, $1,870. Due in 30 days. Payment methods listed. Mark responded, "This is unbelievable." Tessa responded, "That's so wrong." My lawyer advised me not to engage further. If they didn't pay, it would be small claims. If they paid, it would be done. They didn't pay. Update * 3 months later, in October, I filed in small claims court. I didn't ask for pain and suffering. I asked for reimbursement of documented shared expenses, backed by texts and the original spreadsheet they'd approved. Filing cost $85. Serving papers cost $62. My husband watched me put the stamped copies in a manila envelope like I was mailing out a school permission slip. The court date was set for 28 days later. 2 days after they were served, Mark emailed me an actual email, not a text, asking if we could settle. He offered $2,000. I countered with $4,000, payable in 2 installments over 45 days. I didn't do it because I was generous. I did it because court was time and stress, and I had 2 kids and a job and a life I was trying to keep quiet. They accepted. The first payment hit my account on a Friday morning, $2,000, memo line blank. The second payment arrived 30 days later, $2,000, still blank. Around that time, Mom made a small decision that mattered more than any money. She removed Tessa from her medical appointment contact list and added me. She told me over tea, "I'm not punishing her. I'm just being realistic." The fake email address that had impersonated me disappeared. The venue confirmed no further contact attempts had been made. My bank never flagged another fraud event. Tessa stopped calling me. The family group chat went quiet. Then eventually, someone changed the name from Elaine's 60th Bash to Family. Like we could rename what happened and make it smoother. Final update * 6 months later, in January, Mom hosted a late birthday dinner for herself. Her words. At a simple Italian place she loved. She invited 12 people. She paid the reservation deposit herself, $100, done with her own card, because she'd asked me to teach her how. When I walked in with my kids, nobody flinched at their laughter. Mom had crayons on the table without being asked. She looked at me and said quietly, "I wanted this all along." Tessa came. She stayed polite, stiff. She didn't apologize, but she also didn't try to control the room. Mark avoided my eyes like he was afraid I could see his bank statements through his face. After dinner, Mom handed me a small envelope. Inside was a personal check for $200. On the memo line she'd written, "For the cake in your trouble." I tried to give it back. She shook her head. "I can't fix everything," she said. "But I can stop pretending you didn't carry it." I drove home with my kids asleep in the back seat, their shoes kicked off, the car warm and quiet. When I got inside, I opened my laptop and deleted the calendar reminder that still sat there, buried in old notifications. Elaine, 60th, Riverfront Venue. 6 p.m. The screen went blank in that little square where the event had been. It felt like breathing room. Boundaries aren't loud. Sometimes they're just you closing a file and deciding you won't sign your name to something that doesn't include you. Generosity needs boundaries, or it turns into risk. If someone says your kids don't belong, but still expects you to carry the contracts, that isn't family teamwork. It's misplaced responsibility. The moment an authorization change appeared under my name, I knew I was right to stop, document, and shift everything into written channels. Confirm vendor changes by phone, then by email. Keep event payments on a dedicated card with alerts, limits, and 2-factor security. Save receipts, texts, and confirmations in one folder. And if those boundaries are ignored? Send one notice with a deadline and get legal advice.